Well, Russia claims to finally have a vaccine for the Wu flu that is effective enough that they plan now on administering it to people as soon as October. Everywhere in the world right now is trying to come up with a Wu flu vaccine, a vaccine for this pandemic that's going around, and I'm sure lots of pharmaceutical companies know that there's a great financial incentive to do so. I've talked about this in reference to the debate over hydroxychloroquine and how it very much seems like the anti-hydroxychloroquine side is heavily motivated by financial interest. But here we have a situation where it actually does look like the Russians claim to actually have a vaccine. This isn't a hope for a vaccine like we have with all these other cases where everywhere else in the world they're hoping for a vaccine. But considering the timetable, I'm personally quite skeptical that Russia has an effective vaccine at this point. It takes a long time to develop vaccines, and from what we've seen with people trying to develop a vaccine for SARS, which is very, very similar to the disease that's going around now, there's not a whole lot of optimism, as far as I'm concerned, that there will be an effective vaccine that will, keep people from getting sick from this virus for a long time. This isn't a miracle like the polio vaccine. At least from what I've read, it doesn't seem like that's the case. Now, it might be that that the Russians really did just crack the code, and that once everybody takes this, it's going to be very hard to transmit this virus, and very few people will get it, and that will last for a long time. But at this point, we just have to wait and see for the results. Now, it's quite funny. Western media typically will take any skepticism of a vaccine and call, whoever is skeptical a conspiracy theorist, an anti-vaxxer, a bad person who should not be welcome in polite society. But yet here, because Russia made a vaccine, all of a sudden the mainstream media is quite skeptical of it too. And they are saying to everyone, hey, you should not be happy about this Russian vaccine because it's probably fake and might make you sick. And so I guess Russia bad outweighs the anti-vaxxer sentiments of the mainstream media. I know for a fact that, or I shouldn't say know for a fact, but I can be almost certain that were the shoe on the other foot, were an American pharmaceutical company such as Pfizer or Moderna or something like that to come out with their vaccine in record time and say that the FDA is going to have it approved by August, which is what the Russians are now saying, that they think that they will have it through the regulatory bureaucracy by mid-August, which, I mean, that's just unprecedented to come up with a vaccine for some kind of disease like this. And in that time, of course, everyone was forecasting minimum 18 months for a vaccine. If this were flipped, our media would be totally in line saying, yep, this is great, totally perfect, everyone needs to take this vaccine, it needs to be mandatory, if you don't take this vaccine, you're a terrible person. And the Russian media probably would be saying, hey, a vaccine developed that quick, you should be pretty skeptical. You might not want to take this, and if the government's forcing you to do that, that's pretty scary. So I don't think necessarily that a lot of the analysis you're going to get of this vaccine is going to be rooted in fact. I think it's going to be based off of whatever someone's present biases are. Because, of course, we don't have very many facts to go on with this vaccine. We haven't seen the results of it being administered, en masse to, a bunch of people in Russia. And so we probably won't see if it's making much of a difference until the end of the year. By that point, a lot of people in Russia will have been vaccinated, according to their timetable. And so we should be able to see if those people are getting sick at a much lower rate than the rest of the Russian population. The Russian government says that they're going to be administering this to higher risk people first. They're going with all the medical professionals are getting the first round of vaccines, and then I guess they'll be branching out from there. So it will be skewed for a little bit because the people getting the vaccine have a higher chance of getting sick anyway. But if this vaccine is, somewhat effective, it should still be clear. But needless to say, if I were in Russia, I'd be pretty nervous about taking this, considering how fast it was developed and everything going on. I would not want to be one of the first. I'd want to be in one of the later rounds. Especially since I'm younger, taking my chances of getting sick, I'm a little okay with that. I'm a little more worried about taking this random drug that the government just popped out, because I do think that they might be putting sort of their national pride first and wanting to be the first to come out with the vaccine. And of course, because it is such a major emergency, fast tracking everything through the safety, the safety bureaucracy. Not that the bureaucracy makes drugs safe. I don't think they're very good at that. But when they're trying to just sort of skip steps like that, because the virus is such a big problem in Russia, they have like 850,000 cases. They might be willing to ignore a few side effects that, to an ordinary healthy person who is not at a super high risk of dying of the virus, that would be uncomfortable for them. And then, of course, there's the chance that after everybody gets this vaccine, it might work for a little while and then not work because the virus has mutated too much, which I believe was the problem with SARS, with trying to develop a SARS vaccine. In fact, I think that the people who took the experimental SARS vaccine, I don't even know if it got to human trials, but when they were experimenting with a SARS vaccine for the original SARS back in the 2000s, I think they found that after taking the vaccine, it made the infection worse. Like the body started attacking itself and not really being able to take down the virus. But again, I'm no expert here on this, and I don't have the time to read through all these medical journals every day. But this is what I've been picking up from following this stuff for however many months now. So all in all, I wish Mr. Putin luck with his vaccine. I really do hope that this is some miracle thing that just that they were able to develop in record time and actually works, and doesn't have any nasty side effects, doesn't have much of a chance of getting people sick, and will be able to stop people from getting infected, in the long run, over many years. So with that said, if you gain anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day, and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.